At 11:42 p.m. on April 8, 2023, a call reached the Edison Police Department reporting an armed male threatening residents at 247 Willowbrook Drive. Within 5 minutes, 2 patrol units arrived. The house belonged to a 35-year-old auto mechanic named Vikram Patel. 2 minutes later, 41 bullets were fired. When the scene stabilized, Patel was dead on the asphalt near his front steps. The object in his hand was identified as a smartphone. Body-worn cameras captured only partial footage. 4 officers, Sergeant Thomas Clark, Officers David Riley, Henry Owens, and Luis Martinez, formed a semicircle around the body. According to dispatch records, Clark's first transmission confirmed a neutralized suspect. Seconds later, he reported that no weapon was recovered. Officer Riley appeared visibly shaken. He had discharged the majority of his magazine. The 911 call that triggered the incident became the immediate focus. The recording revealed a female voice describing an armed foreign ex-soldier threatening to shoot people. The caller refused to identify herself. The dispatcher failed to verify her name before the line disconnected. Neighbors provided limited information. Mrs. Meena Sharma, who lived across the street, stated she had not contacted the police. She said she had seen Vikram talking on the phone on his porch about 10 minutes earlier, raising his voice but not displaying any weapon or violent behavior. Another neighbor, Mr. Rajesh Nair, reported hearing shouting and sirens, but no gunshots until the police arrived. Detective Rachel Torres, Homicide Division, assumed responsibility for the investigation at 1:10 a.m. Evidence technicians documented 41 shell casings, mostly 9mm. Patel's smartphone was found 3 meters from his hand, its screen shattered. In his jeans pocket, they found a small spiral notebook containing dates, addresses, and vehicle registration numbers. The last page carried a handwritten note in capital letters. Michael Hayes will pay for Anil. Torres began a background check. Vikram Patel had immigrated from Gujarat, India in 2008 under a skilled worker program. In 2009, he enlisted in the U.S. Army, served 1 tour in Iraq, and was honorably discharged in 2012. He received citizenship the same year. Military records mentioned mild post-traumatic stress symptoms, but no disciplinary actions. Since 2015, he operated Patel Auto Service on Oak Tree Road, a commercial area known for South Asian businesses. Financial records indicated modest but stable income. Patel had divorced his wife, Priya Patel, 6 months before his death. She was a civil rights attorney practicing in Middlesex County. According to the divorce decree, the reason cited was irreconcilable differences. Several said he appeared preoccupied with his younger brother's death, which had occurred the previous spring. Detective Torres reviewed Patel's notebook entries. Many matched vehicle plate numbers belonging to city contractors. One entry, dated March 11, 2023, referenced Hayes Construction, truck near Rutgers Crossing. That prompted Torres to examine earlier case files. In the database, she located case number 4782, classified as a fatal hit-and-run, dated May 2, 2022. The victim was Anil Patel, 19, a Rutgers University student studying mechanical engineering. Witness statements at that time described a dark SUV striking the victim at a crosswalk near Oak Tree Road and fleeing the scene. The investigation was closed 1 week later due to insufficient evidence. The attorney representing the Patel family in that case was listed as Priya Patel. The suspect file mentioned a vehicle registered to Michael Hayes, a local contractor and city supplier, but no charges were filed. The report included a note signed by Captain John Hayes, the investigating officer, indicating no credible witness identification. Torres interviewed Priya Patel on April 9, 2023. She stated she had not spoken to her former husband for several weeks and denied knowledge of any threats or mental health crises. She said Vikram had been obsessed with his brother's case and blamed everyone for injustice. She denied knowing anyone named Michael Hayes. When confronted with the notebook entry referencing Hayes Construction, she said she assumed it referred to a client's vehicle. Preliminary autopsy results established that Vikram Patel died from multiple gunshot wounds, 16 of which entered from the back. Toxicology showed no drugs or alcohol. Forensic analysis of the smartphone revealed an outgoing call at 11:39 p.m. to Deputy Mayor Alan Greenberg. The call lasted 96 seconds. Its contents were retrieved from voicemail. Patel's voice was agitated, accusing Hayes and his people of corruption and threatening to expose everything that happened to Anil. The call ended abruptly. Police policy required a statement from each involved officer. All four provided near-identical accounts, describing Patel as turning suddenly and holding an unknown object. Officer Riley stated, "I believed he was aiming a weapon. I fired to protect my team." Sergeant Clark confirmed giving the command to shoot. However, ballistic trajectories contradicted parts of their narrative. The distribution of entry wounds indicated that Patel was facing away from the officers when most rounds were fired. By April 10, 2023, the Internal Affairs Division suspended all four officers pending investigation. Torres compiled the initial summary: a fatal police shooting triggered by a 911 call with a falsified report, a victim with prior military service and no record of violence, and new leads connecting him to an earlier unsolved fatal hit-and-run. Detective Rachel Torres reopened case file number 4782 on April 11, 2023. The report described the hit-and-run that killed Anil Patel, but several sections appeared inconsistent. The witness statements had been summarized with identical phrasing, and key attachments were missing. The only surviving civilian witness listed was Devi Asha, age 68. The original transcript contained one short paragraph. Witness could not identify driver due to darkness. Torres located Mrs. Asha Devi at a senior housing complex near Plainfield Avenue. She had lived there since 1991, working for decades as a clerk at a local pharmacy before retirement. When shown the old protocol, she immediately stated that it was incorrect. She recalled giving a detailed description of the driver, a white man, about 50, short hair, wearing a jacket, and had provided part of the license plate number. According to her, the detective at that time told her not to worry, because immigrants often get confused, and wrote down a summary that erased her identification. She said she felt intimidated and did not insist further. Torres requested the internal notes from that investigation. The case had been handled by Captain John Hayes, the brother of businessman Michael Hayes. In the archived correspondence, Torres found an unsigned memo recommending closure for lack of probable cause. The memo was dated only 6 days after the collision. Anil Patel's family had received the final report the following week, stating that no independent witnesses confirmed the driver's identity. Phone records confirmed that after the case was closed, Vikram Patel made repeated calls to the traffic division and later to the district attorney's office. Each inquiry was marked resolved. Frustrated, he began his own collection of evidence. Between June 2022 and March 2023, he contacted businesses near the accident site requesting footage retention. One of them, a convenience store on Woodbridge Avenue, had given him a data copy. That file was not found among his belongings, suggesting it might have been taken before or after his death. Torres reconstructed the likely events from Patel's notes. He had connected the license plate fragments to a black GMC Sierra registered to Hayes Construction. He wrote dates of sightings near the city motor pool and addresses of bars frequented by Michael Hayes. Financial records from city procurement showed repeated payments to Hayes's company for vehicle maintenance contracts. Torres also learned that Patel's workshop occasionally repaired municipal trucks. Colleagues reported that 2 months before his death, he had complained about fraudulent invoices in city maintenance logs, where parts worth a few $100s were billed for several thousand. In the week preceding his death, Patel had sent multiple emails to Deputy Mayor Alan Greenberg, alleging large-scale financial irregularities involving Hayes Construction and city officials. Greenberg's office did not respond, but voicemail recovered from Patel's phone confirmed a final call at 11:39 p.m. on April 8th, in which he demanded justice for Anil and threatened to release documents. Torres ordered a financial audit of the 2022 accident file. The Patel family had paid $15,000 to attorney Priya Patel for representation, a sum raised among relatives. In the bank statements attached to the old case folder, Torres discovered another transfer, $25,000 from an insurance company affiliated with Hayes Construction, deposited into Priya Patel's personal account 3 days after the case closure. The payment reference line read, "Consultation and Settlement Services." Meanwhile, ballistics from the recent shooting, completed on April 12th, confirmed that 16 of the 41 bullets entered Vikram Patel's back, contradicting the officer's statements that he was facing them. Entry angles indicated he was turning away. Officer David Riley, who fired first, amended his testimony twice, later 3 times. Each version introduced new descriptions of Patel's aggressive posture. In one interview, Riley referred to Middle Eastern combatants he had seen in training materials, even though Patel's background was South Asian. These inconsistencies were recorded in the Internal Affairs summary. Torres also examined telephone metadata from Patel's smartphone. Several numbers corresponded to Michael Hayes's construction office, called repeatedly between March 25th and April 7th. One outgoing message read, "You took my brother's life. I will not stop until you answer." Another draft message, unsent, said, "If the city won't act, I will." Cross-checking procurement ledgers with bank records, Torres identified a pattern of inflated billing totaling more than $3 million over 4 years. Hayes Construction was listed as the primary supplier of replacement parts for municipal vehicles. Each invoice had been approved by Sergeant Thomas Clark's signature in his role as logistics liaison. Clark was also the supervising officer at the fatal shooting. By April 13th, Torres concluded that Vikram Patel had uncovered evidence of a long-running corruption scheme and had attempted to use that information to reopen his brother's hit-and-run case. His activities placed him in direct conflict with individuals who had both financial and personal motives to silence him. On April 15th, 2023, Detective Rachel Torres interviewed Priya Patel for the second time. The meeting took place in a standard interrogation room at the Middlesex County Police Complex. Surveillance footage shows Priya seated across from Torres, visibly distressed, but maintaining composure. When confronted with the financial records from 2022, including the $25,000 transfer from Hayes Insurance Group, she initially denied any knowledge. After being shown her own bank statements, she admitted the payment had been made for consultation work. The explanation did not align with the timeline or her professional obligations in the Patel family's civil case. Torres documented the progression of the interview. Priya was born in 1989 in Edison, New Jersey. Her parents were immigrants from Gujarat, India. She completed law school at Seton Hall University and specialized in civil rights litigation. In her early career, she worked on low-fee community cases, many involving housing discrimination. Colleagues described her as ambitious and focused on upward mobility. Records showed that by 2019, she had begun working with larger firms handling municipal clients. Torres noted the conflict between Priya's cultural background and her professional aspirations. At home, she observed traditional customs, but in her work environment, she distanced herself from the local Indian community. Friends recalled her frustration with living on Oak Tree Road, where she shared a small rented apartment with her parents before marriage. One coworker said she wanted to move somewhere where she wouldn't always be reminded of who she was. In 2022, when Vikram's brother Anil was killed, Priya handled the family's legal claim pro bono at first. Her involvement quickly turned into a paid arrangement once relatives raised funds for representation. The $25,000 from Hayes' insurer arrived soon after the investigation was closed. Torres confirmed that the transfer was labeled settlement facilitation. No documentation supported that such a settlement existed. When questioned about her relationship with Michael Hayes or any of his representatives, Priya said, "I never met him directly." She claimed the payment came through standard insurance channels. However, Torres confronted her with an email exchange dated May 8, 2022, between Priya and an executive at Hayes Insurance, discussing timely resolution of the Patel matter. At that point, Priya began to cry and asked to stop the interview. Torres summarized the confession that followed. Priya admitted that she had accepted the money after an intermediary assured her that no criminal charges were possible because of missing evidence. She was told the payment was for her time and discretion. She rationalized the act by believing that pressing the issue further would destroy her career prospects. With the funds, she made a down payment on a townhouse in Mithukun and financed a large wedding reception 6 months later. Vikram Patel never learned about the payment. Parallel to Priya's interrogation, Torres re-interviewed Sergeant Thomas Clark. Clark, a 20-year veteran, had served as field supervisor during the shooting at Willowbrook Drive. He had a clean record and numerous commendations. Under questioning about his connection to Hayes Construction, he initially denied receiving any benefits or favors. When Torres presented procurement documents signed by him approving inflated invoices, he became visibly nervous. After several hours, he admitted partial involvement. Clark stated that his son, Daniel Clark, age 20, had been present during the 2022 hit and run. According to his account, Daniel had gone drinking with Michael Hayes. On the drive back, Daniel was at the wheel when the vehicle struck Anil Patel. Hayes convinced him to leave the scene, promising to take care of everything. Clark said he arrived at the scene as one of the first responders and recognized tire marks consistent with Hayes' vehicle. He removed his son from the area before other officers arrived and reported the case directly to Captain John Hayes, Michael's brother. The captain then assumed control of the investigation and closed it within a week. Clark further stated that since that night, Michael Hayes had used the information to exert pressure. He demanded favorable handling of city procurement paperwork and suppression of complaints from the Indian business district. Clark admitted signing off on multiple reports dismissing civilian complaints about police misconduct. The files matched those Torres had previously reviewed. A separate wiretap authorized on April 14th produced a critical recording. The conversation, dated April 8th at 10:29 p.m., captured voices identified as John and Michael Hayes. The captain was heard saying, "I'll deal with the Patel issue quietly." Michael replied, "Make sure that Indian who's been snooping around doesn't cause problems." The tone suggested prior knowledge of Vikram Patel's actions. Exactly 1 hour after that call, the anonymous 911 report describing an armed ex-soldier was made. Technical analysis of telecommunications data confirmed that the 911 call originated from a mobile number registered to Priya Patel. The signal path corresponded to a cell tower covering the area near Willowbrook Drive. The timestamp matched the first dispatch log entry. When confronted with this information, Priya claimed she panicked after hearing her husband shouting outside and did not mean for anything bad to happen. Torres noted the discrepancy. In the 911 recording, the caller described Vikram as dangerous and armed, language calculated to prompt a high-risk police response. By April 20th, 2023, Detective Rachel Torres completed the reconstruction of events that led to the death of Vikram Patel. The analysis combined witness statements, call logs, ballistic results, and digital data. The findings provided a coherent sequence from the first 911 call to the final moment of the shooting. At 11:38 p.m. on April 8, 2023, Vikram Patel was on the porch of his residence at 247 Willowbrook Drive. The content of his last call, preserved in the deputy mayor's voicemail system, confirmed that he was disclosing a pattern of municipal corruption. In a mix of English and Hindi, he accused Michael Hayes of fraud and identified Sergeant Clark and Captain Hayes as protectors of the scheme. He also stated that his wife had accepted money to suppress evidence in his brother's case. His tone was agitated but coherent. Inside the house, Priya Patel overheard fragments of that call. Forensic examination of her mobile phone confirmed that 2 minutes later, at 11:40 p.m., she dialed 911. The transcript of that call matched her voice sample. She described an armed foreign veteran shouting threats, adding that he was unstable and dangerous. Investigators concluded that the wording was deliberate. Each phrase corresponded to keywords used in police dispatch protocols to classify a situation as armed suspect, authorizing immediate armed response. Patrol units led by Sergeant Clark and Officer Riley reached the address at 11:45 p.m. Their onboard data recorder captured the approach speed and the initial radio exchange. Clark confirmed possible armed subject before arriving. According to Internal Affairs reconstruction, Officer Riley exited his vehicle with his weapon drawn, shouted one verbal command, and opened fire within 2 seconds. The remaining officers followed under standard cover protocol. The total duration of the shooting was measured at 1 minute and 57 seconds. Forensic mapping established that the majority of rounds were fired while Patel was facing away from the officers. 16 bullets entered from behind. The object in his right hand was his smartphone. Audio enhancement of body cam recordings contained no verbal threats from Patel. Priya Patel's psychological evaluation, conducted after her arrest, showed no signs of psychosis or delusion. She acted under stress, but with awareness of potential consequences. Prosecutors charged her with filing a false emergency report leading to death, obstruction of justice, and perjury in connection with the earlier hit-and-run case.